All right, so it looks like everyone stopped rolling in, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is a recorded session, so if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat section and I'll answer them as we go along. Hope all of you guys are doing well at home and everyone's healthy and happy. And I want to say thank you for attending this session today. So today we're going over the IT Power Hour for Microsoft Forms. So I can go ahead and get right into that. I'm going to switch over and share off my entire screen to make sure that you guys can see things as I move around. So just bear with me for a second. Okay, all right. All right, so, all right, IT Power Hour for Microsoft Forms is what we're going over again today. So this is the course outline. We're going to talk about what is Microsoft Forms, how to access forms, how to create a quiz or a form, which a form can be a survey. We're going to review the different types of questions that they have in the forms and quizzes. We're going to go over the different options that you have in quizzes and forms. There are a couple of different kinds of questions that are available. Mainly the same, but a few little differences. And then we'll talk about how to use sectioning and branching. We'll talk about themes and pictures, how to add languages to the forms, how to make them anonymous, as well as how to share off these documents to your team, as well as review results, export those to Excel. And we're also going to talk about how to add forms to the Teams channel. All right. Okay. All right. So what is Microsoft Forms? So Microsoft Forms is an application that a lot of users use to create surveys, quizzes, and polls that can accommodate up to 50,000 responses. It can be used for business services. It can also be used to get feedback and to gather information for events. I like using forms to create surveys. So when I have these sessions, you guys will see one of the surveys that I created to just kind of get feedback from the users, as well as whether it be internal or external. These can be used for. Some of the benefits is that it can be used to collect data. Again, you can build quizzes off of this. So if you guys are doing training sessions, this can help you kind of sort of make sure that people are learning what you're teaching them. It's also a way to gather feedback, and it's user-friendly. It's really, really easy to use. Another thing that I like about it is it does generate real-time analytics, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over. So essentially, these are the things we're going to go over, which is the stuff in the outline. Yes. And so once this is all over, I'll show you guys where you can actually access these, the PowerPoints and the recordings. They're all on the IT site. So I'll show you guys that when we get closer to the end. All right. Let me just pull over my guide to make sure I don't miss anything. All right. Okay, so how do we access Microsoft Forms? So if you guys, if you go to the Creative homepage or any of the Creative pages in SharePoint, in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see these waffles right up here where Creative is at. If you click on those on that waffle, it's an app launcher. This will show all the apps for 365. And if, for instance, you may not see as many as I see right there right now, and that's only because I've actually been in these apps before. So once you've been in them, they'll kind of sort of list here, but if you don't see it, you just click on all apps. And it'll give you a list of all the Office 365 apps. You can search it here and just type in Forms, or you can just scroll down and you'll see it listed. And that's one way you can get to Forms. The other way to get to it is if you just go to office.com, and when you sign in with your account, you'll be brought to this screen here. And this is where you can access all the apps as well. All right, so I'm in Microsoft Forms. All right, so we're going to go over how to create a quiz and a new form. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a quiz. So we're just going to do a new quiz. I'm going to title it out. And one thing that I like about the quizzes is that, and you can do this before you get started or when you get closer to the end, is that you can change the themes and you can add pictures in here. So over here in the right-hand side, you can insert a picture. You can upload a picture from OneDrive, or you can upload them from your computer, or you can just search on the web. So if I just type in the word quiz, it's going to bring up a lot of images that I can use. So I'll just pick this one and it'll add that image into the actual, the document itself. Okay. And then once I click down here, new, so this is my title. And at any point in time when you're working on this and you want to see what it's going to look like when the user starts working with it, just click on where it says preview, and you can see what it's going to look like and when the person receives it, when the person fills it out. So if you start adding things in, you can always go back and preview it and see what it's going to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding in some new questions so you guys can see all the different types of questions that are available. One of the first ones we're going to do is choice. So we're just going to go over every single question. And choice question is simply just a choice. So you ask a question. And you just answer your question. I mean, put in your options. Yep. And then as you see down here, there were some automatic options that popped up. When these come up, you can just click on them. So if I want, I can just add these in. And so these are the intellectual options that will automatically pop up. So if you type in a question, it has like an AI feature where it kind of sort of like reads through that question and just kind of finds like some really good answers for you automatically. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier when you guys are building these out. The one good thing that you guys can do with the quizzes as well, which is really cool too, is that you can add in points down here. So this isn't a question that probably require points, but let's say, for instance, we want to make this the correct answer. So red's the correct answer. Red's the best color. So if we make this the correct answer, we can also add in other things like comments in here. So if someone selects red, you can say, so you can say that, and that's if someone selects this answer as the correct answer. So they would know automatically this is the correct answer, and this is the comment that they'll see. And then if you select some of these other ones, you can write a comment under here. You can say, and so you can put in whatever you want to put in here. So it's really cool because you can add in comments. So if people select the correct answer or the wrong answer, that's how they'll see it. And then again, if you want to always constantly, as you add in questions, I would always suggest to preview those questions and make sure that when you are adding new stuff in, that you can actually you know how they'll come out. So if I was to come in here and I select red and I hit submit, oh, it tells me automatically this is the best color, and it gives me, and it shows me that it's correct. And so I get 100 points for that. And so that's how you can pretty much do that. And then once you come back, you can just come in here and add more stuff. So you can modify and add these however you choose. And if you make a mistake, you can easily just come back in here and delete stuff out. You can edit them. You can add different options, comments in here, or you can delete options as well. And another thing you'll see down here too, you'll also see an option for multiple answers. And this will allow people to select multiple answers. So for instance, in this particular case where you say, what is your favorite color? You may have multiple favorite colors. You can select different colors in the same answer itself. So you can select one or two, three, or three things, whatever it is. You can also make them required. So if you require something, that means that the person won't be able to go on to the next question until they've actually fill out this particular question here itself. And so we're going to go into add new, and we're going to go over the next one, which is text. So text is really just what it is. So I'm just going to put an example in there. How are you feeling today? Your answer is whatever it is. Your answer is just a text. So that means that people can just put in whatever they want to put in. You can also come here and say you want to make it a long answer. So it gives them a lot more space to be able to type. And then you can also make it required, or you can make it non-required. Right. And some of the other things too. So if you guys notice, like over here, under each of these questions, they have more options. So you have options to shuffle options. So if you want to shuffle these every single time. And math, let's look at this one and see. It's a different way that it comes out. So this can be for like when you guys do certain questions to make it look a certain way. And it's usually for math. It looks like cursive kind of sort of. And then the other option is branching, and I'll show you guys that as we go a little bit further in. But I'm going to add a couple of new questions, and then we're going to just go over that part too. So rating is another one that you can do. Rating would just be either 5 stars. And you can change this. So if you want to base a rating off of 10 stars versus 5 or 7, whatever it may be, you can add those here. You can also do a number. So if you want to rate something based on a number versus stars, you can do that as well. And you can also add in a description. So if you click down here, if you notice, like with all these, we get different options when you click on the 3 dots. So this one has something called label. So what a label is we say at 1, we say worst. And at 10, we say best ever. So these are the ratings between 1 and 10. So if someone's confused on how that may be interpreted, you can actually interpret it for them. So whatever it is you're rating, so if you say, rating someone's teaching capabilities, you may say, 1 is, a basic teacher, and 10 maybe a teacher who goes beyond. So it gives you the ability to get the answer on how you want people to actually respond to you. So it works out that way. And I'm just going to keep going. So we're going to go into like date. So a date question, these are good for like if you were to do like classes. So I did an example test quiz the other day, and one of the questions I said was like, what class did you attend? And we're going to say, oops. All right, no, I put that in totally wrong. But essentially, then what they would do is they would submit a date. So you can ask someone, say, like, what day did you prefer, like either Monday or Tuesday, or like what date did you go to the doctor's last? They can put a date in here, or you can actually simply ask someone a question like, what is your date of birth? And they can put that in here. You can make them required, and then you have a couple of different options, which is like adding branching. And I'm going to get into that part next because I wanted to do a particular one. So let's say, and you have a couple of different other ones here, and another one that is a little bit different from the quiz, from the form itself. So we're doing a form in a quiz form, okay? And the next one we're going to show you guys is a survey form. So in the quiz form, there is an option to upload a file. This is an option you only get in the quiz format. You don't get this in forms. So if you're doing a survey and you create a form with you create a survey with a form, you won't have the option to upload a file, but you do get this option in the quiz because, of course, if you're teaching a class, one of the things you may need someone to do is to upload a file. And this will give them the option to upload a file. So here you see we put it in preview mode and this is what it looks like. You click here, you click upload file. And then of course for the date, if you click on this, it will just show you the date and this is what it looks like. So you can do a drop down menu and you can go back to a year in a day that you wanted to put in here, okay? And when you do the file upload, of course, this will just take you to wherever on your PC to submit these forms. All right. And so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is branching. Branching can be done from either from a quiz and it can also be done from a form. I'm going to show you guys a form that I've already created that has branching in it already. So this is an IT form that I've created and I'm going to show you guys some of the difference. So the difference with the forms are the questions are exactly the same, but there are a few little differences when it comes to like sharing off the documents itself. One of the things with the forms is like, again, you can't upload files to forms, but the questions are pretty much the same options. So let me just go here. I'm going to show you guys what I did here. Oh, actually, let me go back one. This is where I did the branching off at. So here I created section. So when you click on a question, right below that you have this add new. When you click on add new, you have these options here, but if you click on the drop down arrow, it's going to bring up a couple of different kinds of questions. So this is a different kind of question format where you can ask multiple questions and have multiple answers all in one block. You have the file upload. I'm still in quiz, so I still have that here. And then another thing you have here is called sections. So what section is that if I create a different section, as you see down here, I've created section 2, and section 2, I've titled it, Welcome to my PM class. And then I have section 3 down here, which is Welcome to my AM class. And these are this is my description for my section. So whenever you create a new section, you're going to have a description at the top before you start adding in questions. So here, and I'm going to just take you guys right into a preview of this particular quiz. So this particular quiz, it asks for date of completion. So I'm just going to put in a date. And then it asks me what class I attend. So once I click on the 7:30 class and I click next, it takes me to welcome to my 7:30 class. Questions are below for my 7:30 class. What I did here was I created something called branching. So if I select the option here for sorry. If I selected the option here for the PM class and I click next, it automatically took me to the PM class section. So this was section 3 and the other one was section 2. So this is what we call branching. So branching is that when you select, and you guys probably seen this before in multiple surveys that you've done, when you selected a answer, next thing you know, you went from like 5 questions to like 10 questions. And that was because you asked the question that required more questions. So if you ever fill out a survey, you say, hey, the service was great. they'll take you straight to the end of the survey, but you'll say, hey, the service is bad. Next thing they ask you is like, why was the service bad? Or why did you feel this way? So that's called branching. And what I'm going to show you guys is how I actually did that. So here in section 1, I created section 1. And if you notice that when I selected 7:30, it took me to the 7:30 section here, section 3. And when I selected 1 p.m., it took me to the PM class section 2. So the way to do that is the first thing you will want to do is you have to create your quiz in its entirety. So if you see here, I created the first part of my quiz, which is for everyone to answer. And then I created my section 2, which is for my PM class. And then I created my section 3, which is for my AM class. So this is what you'll want to do first. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have all your sections there. And so you create that by clicking on new and you add your sections. Once your sections are done and you've added in your questions, whether you're finished or not, you can start your branching. So to do branching, what you would do is when you're inside of the question you want to branch off, you click on the 3 dots over here for more settings for questions, and you add branching. Once you click on add branching, there's going to give you some options. Yes, okay. So I'm going to stop real quick because I had a question and I want to make sure I answer these as I go along. And one of the questions I had is, does the field team members have access to forms? If you have access to 365, then you should have access to forms. If you're curious, all you would need to do is go to office.com. So if you go to the office.com and when you sign in and you click on apps, you'll see all the apps that you have available here. And usually Forms comes with anyone who has access to 365. So it should be available. And as far as the recordings go, we do send these off to Roger, so he does upload those to stream for you guys to be able to access. And so after the session is over, I'm sure Roger will send you guys out the link to be able to get to all that. All right, and then I will send out a link too for you guys locally. And for the field, if you have people in the field who ask about it, then just tell them to reach out to Roger Plath and he will provide them with the link to get to it if they didn't see the email originally. All right, so I'm gonna flip back. Okay, so we were talking about sectioning, branching off. So as you guys see here, I created the sections below, and now what I'm gonna show you guys is how I actually branched these, branched it off into a different section. So once I selected the option to branch them off, I got some options over here. So if someone was to select a 7:30 a.m. class, I can say I want them to go to either the next question, or I can say I want them to go to a section. And then once I click a section, yeah, I can click a different section here, or if I want, I can go to a different question in the current section. So if you guys have like, if you don't want to, I say it's always easier to do it with sections. That way it's always easy to tell where you're branching people off to. But you can also skip questions too. So if you have questions lined up, let me make sure this is set correctly before I switch back. Okay. So if you have questions lined up like down here and say you want the person to, all right, it froze up on me. Okay. All right. So if I wanted to, let's say down here, I wanted to add branching. I can select the action to go to another question, or I can select it to go to another section or to the end of the form. So you have a lot of different options, and I would suggest just to play around with them because if you see when you add branching to different kinds of questions, you get different kinds of options. So here, if I add, hey, when it does that part, okay. If I add branching to this question here, Yeah, you see how I get the options of the drop down, but when you have the sectioning or branching on the actual questions itself, you get different kind of options. So just keep that in mind when you actually create it. You have to play around with it a lot to kind of get it to work the way you want it to, but it's really not that hard once you know what you're trying to ask or what you're trying to do. So, all right, so that's pretty much like branching and sectioning. Again, this is something that I really like to use because it kind of sort of allows you to ask people certain questions based off their answers. But again, this is something you have to play around with to make sure that it works out the way you want it to. And every time you are creating things, the good thing about it is that you can always come in here and click preview, and you can see what it's going to look like when the person receives it on their computer. And if you click at the top, right next to computer, there's an option for mobile. So you can actually see what it's going to look like on the mobile format as well. So if I wanted to fill this out completely on mobile, and I click next, this is what it's going to look like when they come through these questions. All right. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool software to use. All right, so how to change the themes and add pictures in different languages. So I'm going to go to a form. So um, you can change the theme and pictures in both forms and in quizzes. You can do the same in both of them. And to do that, all you would do is at the top, you'll see a few different options here. One is preview, the other one is theme, and the other one is share. If you click on theme, you'll get a lot of different options here. And they may look a little bit different when you click on quizzes. You may say you see some different backgrounds. But I can click on whatever and it just changes the background. I can click on preview and see what it's going to look like from the computer to the mobile. So I can play around with those themes. All right. And you can add in pictures. Pictures can be added in at any question. So if you notice at all of their questions, you have this insert media here where you can add in pictures or videos. So that's another really cool thing too, is that if you guys are doing like class sessions or training sessions, like you can actually include like videos inside of like your quizzes. And this can be like a quick 2-minute video, like showing someone how to do something and then a question relate to the video that they just watched. So it's really cool. You can build up a lot of cool documents with these quizzes and forms. So you can add those into it wherever you want. And I'm going to show you guys how to add different languages. So languages can only be added to forms. They can't be done in quizzes. If you want to do a quiz in a different language, you will have to create a totally different quiz. There's not an option for it yet. Hopefully that will come down the line. But with forms, you have an option to have forms in different languages, but you have to convert them yourself. And to do that, what you would do is, and I'm going to show you guys really quick. When you click preview, if you guys notice at the top, there is English here. And if you click the drop down, they have different languages. And so if I click on a different language, it shows me that form in a different language. Now, if you notice, if we go on to question 2, it's still in English. The reason why is because I haven't actually converted these questions to the Spanish. Now, excuse me if you do speak Spanish because I did use Google Translator to get this done. So that's how I did it. But I'll show you guys how to actually do it. So if you have, so this is your survey and this is my English version and I want to add a Spanish version of this. What I would do is I would come over here and click on the 3 dots for more options and you'll see multilingual. When you click on multilingual, it will give you an option to add different languages. So here, if I just click add additional language, it will bring all the different languages up that I can add to it, whatever it is. In this particular case, I'm not gonna, add another one. Well, let's see, you know what, I added Dutch. Okay, so, and then what I just did was, so once you've added the languages, you'll notice that each language is now listed here. And you'll see a edit language button and you'll see a delete button. So you can either delete that language if you want to, or you can edit it. So what I'm going to do is if I click edit here, if you notice, it opens up an additional box at the bottom. So when I click on each section, it gives me an option to add in the subtitles. So if I am converting this to Spanish, and I'm just going to show you guys really quick. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys really simply what I did. So this is my English here. And then translated my question to Spanish. And then so what I did was I just inputted that here. And of course you will want to make sure this is accurate though. And then for each one, I'm just gonna just kind of get this done really quickly. Okay, all right. Oh, that was supposed to be Dutch. Anyway, all right. We'll get the concept. I'll show you guys. I thought I was on a Spanish one. Okay, but what you would do is this. So what I would do is I'm gonna click on preview. And preview, of course, remember, this is how everyone else is going to see it when they get it. So when I click on preview here, I can see that I have my language up here, which is English. And then when I click on the drop-down menu, I can switch over to Spanish. As you see, automatically, wherever I filled in those questions with the Spanish language, it then converted those over to Spanish. If I didn't convert them over to Spanish, it would just stay in English, as you see. And then for the one that I did in Dutch, and when I click over to Dutch, this is supposed to be Dutch here. And this was supposed to be Dutch as well. But yeah, that's what it does. So it switches it over. And the reason why you should always select the right language first is like that. So this was supposed to be Dutch. So if you notice like the little indentations here, they're based on the language that you've actually added. So that is the reason why when you add in a language, that it should be the language that you're actually adding in, because some of the things that they may see on the form aren't things that you have to type in. They are things that automatically say that are automatically in that language you chose. Okay. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to keep going. Let me just check the chats and see if there's anything there. Okay. All right. Nothing yet. All right. So the next thing I want to show you guys is how to make the forms anonymous for internal participants. So this is something you can do with both forms and with surveys. And when you come over here and you have an option for settings, when you click on the three dots, you go to settings. And settings is where you select the options for how you want to share it. So before you share a document or before you share a form or a survey or a form or a quiz, what you should always do is go to your settings and make sure that you have the form set up the way you want it set up. So if this was a form that I was doing for like the people in the field and different divisions and maybe people for the outside, I won't want to set it so that way anyone with the link can respond. Or if it was internal, say for instance, like a luncheon that we're doing and we're just trying to get some results for that. We may want to select it for only people in my organization. And then when you select people in your organization, you have the option to record their name or not. When you do anyone with the link can respond, it's going to receive the data as it comes in. So if it's from someone's email address or whatever data that it can link to that person is submitted, you will see that when it's an outside, when it can be accessed by anyone. But when you do internal, you have different options. Now, this will probably change in the future as well. I did some research and I found out that they'll probably add this feature to the external link as well to make them anonymous. But right now, the only ones you can make anonymous are internal forms. So for this particular form, being that it's IT training and a support survey where we ask questions of like how we're doing, we may want to make this one anonymous. So we don't want to record anyone's name. So that way we get the most honest feedback possible and is not strayed by the fact that people know that I see your name. So if we don't record name and we say one response per person, because that's another thing too, is that you don't want people to keep clicking on the link, or if you're doing like a, who won prom king, you don't want someone stuffing the ballot box with all their answers. So you definitely want to make sure you select that if that's the case. And then down here, you have different options. Like you can do a start and end date. You can shuffle questions, which I only suggest if you don't care which form that people receive them in, but if you want people to get your questions in a certain format, make sure that you don't check that off. And then you can customize a thank you message. And so you can add in that, and you can also email the recipients, or you can email yourself. And this will be good for if you don't want people to fill out the survey multiple times, or if you want people to know that they filled it out and it was completed, you have the option there to add that in. And so what I'm going to show you guys next is how to actually share off the forms. Okay. So this is the form that I have, and I'm actually, if you guys have like your creative cell phones with you, you can pull those out with your cameras. And I'm going to show you guys something really cool you can do. And this is very helpful if you guys are doing like a live training session like right now. Yes. So I have a question about the option to record names of people outside the organization. So when you go here and you click on settings, if you do anyone with the link can respond, that's going to be for people outside the organization. So if they click on the link, it's going to record their names or their email address, um, whatever data is pulled in whenever they actually click on the link. So it will record their names and their information. But for people inside the organization, that's the only time you can make it anonymous if you want to, or you can request someone's name if you choose. Okay. So if you guys want to share off, yeah. All right. So if you guys want to actually share off these surveys, once you've actually made your settings and you've configured it the way you want people to receive it, you just click on share. And so if you guys have like your creative cell phone, I'm going to show you something that is really cool that you guys can do. So right now there's one option, which is a link. So you can copy this link and you can put it into an email. That is one way you can do it. And then if you see down here, there are a couple of different options, which is share as a template and share to collaborate. I will go over that in a minute. But I just want to show you guys how to share it off to actually get responses back from whoever will be participating. So that is one way, which is copying the link. The other way is you can embed the link, or you can just go straight to email the link. And then the other option that I like as well is the QR code. So this is very helpful if you're in the middle of like a training session, like right now. And say, for instance, I want you guys to just kind of sort of pull out your cameras. And if you pull out your cameras and you just pretty much open your camera, let me go to it on my phone. And once you actually point your camera at this QR code, you're going to see a pop-up at the top of your screen. And it's going to say website QR code openforms.office.com in Safari. And that's because Safari is my default. And then once I open it up, automatically it takes me to that form, and it's going to show me the different options that I have, and I can go ahead and start filling out that form right away. All right. So if you guys want to actually go ahead and do that, you can. This is an actual IT survey, so feel free to fill it out. Even though I don't think we have all of our IT power hours listed in there. All right, but yeah, this is a survey. You guys can fill it out. So if you were to click on it, it would take you to it right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shelf that for a second. And then I'm going to go to a different survey because I'm not going to show you guys the results of this one. I might got some bad comments in there. I don't want you guys to see that. All right. All right. But before I get into that, before we review results, let me show you guys how to share off with your team. So again, I told you guys this is how you would share off and to send and collect your responses. Clearly, that's what it says, right? And then down here, it says to share as a template. That means that anyone with this link can duplicate. That means if I share this link off to just one person, say Raphael or Nasir in my department, if they copy that link, they can then create a form or save a form just based off of using this link in their URL. With the share to collaborate, this means that if I copy and I share off this link to someone, so say I copy this link and I share it off to Nasir or Raphael, they can use it as a, they can collaborate with me. So this is good for if, say for instance, like I'm working with 2 other people on the same form and we're doing like 3 different sections. You can share off the link and this will allow you guys to collaborate on the document together, and it will only be visible to those you share this link off with. Now there's another way you can actually share off the form if you want to share it off to your entire department. And that is something that is helpful if you are planning to leave the company or if this is a document that you'll be using with your entire group. So the way to do that would be, and at the top of each of your surveys, you have options. You have these 3 little dots here, and you'll have 3 options. You'll have an option to copy, delete, and move. If you select the option to move, I'm going to actually, let me do this first. I'm sorry, let me go back. I want to copy it first because I'm going to delete it once I move it. So I'm going to copy the quiz. And once I copy it, I'm going to select the option to move. When I select the option to move, it's going to pull up all the different Teams groups that I'm a part of. And so for my Teams group, it's the IMT group. So if I click IMT and I click move, it's going to move that quiz to a group form. So in other words, if I was to leave the company, anyone who has access to that group can access those forms. It's not going to be a form that then becomes inaccessible if I leave the company. So if I click here under group forms now, and I click on the arrow, if I go to IMT forms, that's where I moved it to. That's where I should see it, and that's where it's at. So I would be able to come here and I can access it. So anyone who's in the IMT group can actually view these forms. And if I click here and I go to like, say different forms, and any form that I click here, that means I have access to these forms because they're a part of my group. So I can click on this one, and this was a internet beta feedback form that Kevin sent out to everyone. But if I want, I can click here and I can click and I can see a test form that was shared out, and this was created by, I believe Kevin created this form. And so I can see that here and I can see the responses and everything else. And so this is really cool. What I'm going to show you guys is, if I review the results, there's a couple of different ways you can view them. Okay. All right. So when you want to actually review the results, you just go to the actual form or quiz that you want to review the results on, and you can see them in its whole here. So these are all the results. So it shows 7 responses. This is an average. It shows me a lot of graphs, and it shows me the answers collectively. I can click on view results, and this will show me individual people or individual responses. So if it was like responded 1, anonymous, 2, whatever, right now this has actual people listed. And as you see, there were more, but I deleted 1 yesterday. So that's why I went from 6 to 8. But essentially, that's how you can review the individual results, or you can review them collectively. And another really cool thing you can do is you can open it up in Excel, and it's a live. It's live. So if I were to, I'm gonna go back 1. So I'm gonna go to my phone. I want to show you guys something really quickly. I'm going to do this particular one right now from my phone. And so it pops up. As you see here, we have 7 responses. So just bear with me for a second, you guys. I'm actually filling it out. Okay. So I just submitted my response, and as you see, automatically it updated that right away, right? Okay, so I have the Excel document open too. As you see here, I have all of the current responses. The last one was from the 26th, which was a couple of days ago. And immediately, if you notice, it added in my other response. So these are automatic. So like if you have an Excel document, it's tied into these forms, so that way it's pulling the data in as you go along. All you have to do is refresh it, and it will pull in the new data. So as people fill out the forms, it will pull that data in for you guys. So it's a really cool capability to be able to do. All right. And so I just want to point back to, it looks like Corey, she did a little test for us, and she said it recorded her as anonymous if we use the Gmail account. So I guess that is one of the things with the outside. Let me ask you a question, Corey. When you did it from the outside, did it even prompt you and ask you for your name or for any information? Nope, it didn't. Okay. All right. So I guess from the outside, it is anonymous then. I'll be honest with you, sometimes they update these things every day, so there may have been some recent changes. But I guess that is a good thing. And if you guys want, in this particular case, though, if you want to make sure you record people's names, that's when you will want to select that option for, in this particular case, and you want to make sure that doesn't happen. Let me go back. I'm going to show you guys something really quick that you can do. Is that when you do them, you can create a question and let your first question be, so say we figured this out, right? And we knew we would do text. Let me say, and you can make this a required question, and you can also move them up. So if that was to happen and say you wanted to make sure that people list what you want them to list there, you can just add it in as a question, or you can add it in as a text. So people can just text, they can write in their answer. Okay. And so hopefully that'll help if you guys come across that situation. But it's good to know though. All right. And the next thing I want to show you guys before we end off is how to, so I've showed you guys how to review the results, how to export the results. But the last thing I wanted to show you guys was how to actually add forms to some of the Teams channels. So I showed you guys how to actually share off the forms to your different Teams groups. So this is kind of tied into Teams as well. So there's a feature inside of Teams. I'm going to show you guys really quick. So if I'm in here, and so any of my team's groups, it doesn't matter which one, I can go here and say we're going to do a question. In the bottom of your, in the bottom, whenever you, whatever channel you go to, you're going to see these options down here in your toolbar. And so one of them is going to look like the forms icon. So it's a little F, looks like a form. This is really just an option to do a poll. So say you wanted to put out there, yeah. And say you wanted to put out a simple survey. And you can add in different options, and you can also allow people to make multiple answers. And so when this poll goes out, it'll go out to everyone, they'll fill it out, and then it'll give me the results back. So that's what you guys can do if you want to add these to your actual channels. And so I'm gonna actually, let's put this one out there. And we're gonna set it for one answer. Click next so you guys can actually see what happens. And then so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say dog's best friend. No, let's edit that. I did that wrong. And I hit submit and send. And so automatically you'll see if you guys were to go to it, you'll see it. Let me delete. And then so yeah, so you guys can actually hit like cat lover or dog lover, and hit submit vote. And it should update automatically so you can see the responses below and you can see how people are giving their feedback on that. So it's really cool thing you guys can do. So like if you guys have stuff you want to add to your channels, it's a really cool feature to use. So I really wanted to show you guys this today because it's really a fun thing to use. It kind of makes work a little bit more exciting when you're doing training and doing sessions with people. It kind of makes it easier for you guys to engage with your users or when you're in the middle of meetings. So this is a really great feature to use, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you guys one other thing. One thing I wanted to go over with you guys is the, so let's go back. I'm just going to pull this over, make sure we went over everything, which we did go over all this stuff. The last thing I wanted to show you guys was the IT support page. So I know you guys asked about where you guys can find the recordings and everything else. So this is our new IT support page. So if you're on the Creative homepage, you guys used to see where it said like help desk support. Now it actually says IT support. If you click on IT support, it's going to take you to this page here, which can also be found by going to operations and IT support. It's going to bring you to the same page here. We have a couple of different things on the site. So here we'll list like upcoming IT Power Hour events. There's going to be one or two of them like next week, I believe, or the week after next on Planner, Microsoft Planner. So if you guys want to join that, you'll see the emails come out very soon. But they will be posted here first. So if you guys want to go here and make this page like a favorite for you, I definitely would suggest that. Just because you can find a lot of different cool things here. You can see our events. You can also come here to put in a help desk ticket. So if you click on this, it's going to take you back to that old page that you guys are used to seeing where you can just put in a help desk ticket. But we've actually added a lot more for you guys to be able to view and see. So we've added news articles down here. So when we send out different emails, we're actually adding articles in here as well. So if you guys remember, we sent out an email like a couple of weeks ago about the new Teams background features. So if we click on this particular one, you'll see here, this is the news article where we talk about pretty much is a new Teams feature, background effects. This is a quick video that shows you how to actually do that. And these are one-page instructions that show you how to actually turn on the background effects. So these are the things that we have on our new site. So these are some of the news articles. And then over here, you have like the IT Power Hour presentations. So the IT Hour presentations, if you click here, you'll see the PDFs of the actual PowerPoint. So this particular PowerPoint that we went over today, this will be on here. So these are the previous ones we've done. So you have SharePoint versus OneDrive, which is the last one I did. And then if you come into recordings, this is where you'll see those recorded sessions. So the session that we're doing right now, once I finish downloading and trimming it all up, you'll find it here in this particular folder for the IT Power Hours. So you'll find that available here. We have a lot of other cool stuff here too. So we have FAQs and we're working on updating this, but this is for like if you have quick questions like what happens if I break my company issue computer, for example, right there, tells you to reach out to the help desk. So those are some of the quick questions you'll see here that don't really require instructions. And then if you go into instructions here, you'll find a lot of cool things here too. So when we go over some of these different training sessions for like OneDrive versus SharePoint or Teams or Zoom or phones, whatever it is that we're going over, we try to build some documentation around these things, or we try to make some stuff accessible to you guys. So one of the things that we get asked all the time are about phones. So if you come here under phones, you can see how to actually set up like all the apps on your phone. Or like update company portal, how to set up just MFA. That's all included in the same one, but this is kind of sort of like breaking it down into smaller instructions for you guys. So all that stuff is available here for you guys to be able to access. And what I will do is I'm going to share off this link to you guys. So, and again, this link can be accessed from anywhere. Oh, sorry, I sent it to just one person. And essentially, if you guys are HQ employees, you guys should be able to access it. If you're in the field, any of the information that you guys are looking for, as far as like all the IT Power Hours, that information is dispersed through Roger Plath. He has a streaming site out there that we provide the PDF to him and the actual recordings. So they will be available for you guys as well. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you guys have questions, definitely feel free to submit them in the chat section. I will answer those for you guys the best I can. But it's pretty much the end of our hour, so I'm going to stop recording and thank you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for